Welcome to the Oh Brother podcast. I'm your host, Dan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my brother from the same mother, Mike Smith.
How's it going, Dan?
It's going good. We had, the lengths we go to get this show off the ground. We'll get to that in just a second. When you hear this episode, we're coming at you September 10th, just a few days after, I guess we say Shang-Chi is really how it's pronounced, but if you want to say Shang-Chi or whatever, we can simplify it. But so we're talking about the latest Marvel installment, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, right? Is that the full title? I got that right?
Yeah.
But before we get into that review, for those of you that are not currently following us, make sure that you do. And the easiest way, the absolute easiest way, Mike, to find all things Oh Brother is to go to our official website, which is look, I got it back.
OHB is no longer bootlegged.
That's right. OHB is in brother podcast.com. That's ohbpodcast.com. Nice. And you can get access.
With the glue? Get the glue going?
Yeah. I get some glue and got a Sharpie, and it's it's like new. Yeah. So you can get access to all our social media happenings out there. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel and like our videos. We would really appreciate it if you support us out on YouTube. And we're on all podcast platforms, so you can find us anywhere you listen to your podcasts. Tell your friends about it if you like what we're putting out there. We'd appreciate that. We also have a blog that you can follow, past and present, on the website as well. So again, ohbpodcast.com. And don't forget to pick up your socks at the Oh Brother shop, or else Mike will.
It's going to start getting chilly.
That's right.
If you have kids, sock puppets. Dan, Mike.
It's lamb chop at the Oh Brother shop.
Yeah, you could put on your own Oh Brother podcast.
Oh Brother puppets. It'd probably be just as entertaining, I'd have to say. So okay, let's get into this. So Shang-Chi, I'm going to say it 14 different ways throughout the show, but it came out on September 3rd. So again, just days after that, you're catching this episode of Oh Brother. And I will say, I don't know. We're going to have to sort of dance around this and not give away any spoilers,
right?
Because it's so new and
there's no premiere access with this.
Exactly. Right. Well, as you pointed out in our last episode, right, this was either go to the theater or shut the F up.
Yeah.
It's like there's no Disney Plus premiere bullshit, I think is how you put it.
Yeah. And we had to, I don't know, how much did it wind up costing you you had a party.
Yeah.
So I was alone.
I walked out of there a little over $80.
Wow.
But that was food and some drinks and stuff like that. So,
but me, all I got was, my ticket, and I got one of those ices, like they're,
oh yeah,
and I took it like maybe 2 sips. That was $8
for just that drink,
for the icy. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And the ticket was how much? Because you
14.
Yeah. You went late. You went like the 10 o'clock.
I went to the
show.
10 o'clock last show because I was looking at the crowds, and we'll talk about the money in a second, what it did for the weekend, but everyone was crowded, and the least crowded was 10, although at 10:15 it was like, I don't know where they came from, but
yeah, well, you kept saying that. I said, it's gonna be fine. Don't worry about it, because at least the theater I went to, it's one of these big luxury theaters. You're really spread out, even beside the people you're with, unless you put the armrest up. They're huge seats. So I'm assuming you have a similar experience there, but
but
you weren't sitting on top of anyone.
At first, I have OCD. We've talked about this, but first, this guy comes in with his first thing that happened was, I'm at one side of the theater, okay, and a Chinese couple came in, and they each had a box of baby wipes, and they washed every bit.
Good for them.
the 5 seats near them.
I wish I had some of those baby wipes.
Soaked them down, but the smell was kind of getting to me, so I went to the other side and sat there. And 10 o'clock, the previews start. I'm like, I'm safe. And then 10:15, this dude with his mother comes walking in, and they've got, like, I don't know how much they spent on, junior mints, this, that, candy up to galore, right? And they set it down. No, they set it down, and the dude leaves. And I'm like, was that a dude serving her, or was he with her? And then, like, 5 minutes later, he comes back with a pizza. Right?
Okay. No, first of all, I've heard no crimes committed so far.
Okay, but
crimes against humanity, Mike could say.
The dude is eating the pizza like this, no slices or nothing. He's just like pushing the pizza into his mouth. It was disturbing.
Okay, you realize there's a gigantic screen in front of you, right? You don't have to stare at the guy that's eating pizza.
Well, he's right in front of me. I mean,
no, he's not right in front of you. He's not. This is not the old theater where it probably was a good 8 feet between you and this guy.
No. Because when I moved again, because I had to move a second time, I actually kicked the seat in front of me. And I was like horrified, because I'm like, oh, I'm a jerk. But going back to the pizza dude, right?
Can we wrap this up?
I'm getting there. He munches a little of the pizza, right? He sets that down. He gets up and leaves. I'm like, oh, he's probably washing his hands, getting that pizza slime up. He comes back with that ocean-sized bucket of popcorn. I'm like,
you're so heavily
gone.
You're so heavily invested in this guy's dinner. It's insane.
He had to spend a C note and just.
So all right. So you missed the first half of the film, is what you're saying.
That was all through the previews.
Which let's not get off on the tangent with the previews, but because there were some decent previews at least this time, but all like Bond and all of those things, Dune and everything that's coming up. But
I didn't see that.
The previews, do they need to be 25 minutes long? Like,
it was way, and I was.
Why do I show up on time? Yeah, why do I show up on time? I don't.
And that's what I figured. All those people that came in, they know.
Yeah,
that the show isn't starting until 10:40. So
now, all right, let's circle back around to the film. So nobody wants to hear this, but
right.
So
actually, they probably do.
Yeah, maybe they do. This is the part they don't want to hear. So clicking off now. So do you recall the references to the 10 Rings organization from back in Iron Man 3? Like, I did not remember that. That could not have been vivid in your memory.
No way. It's not vivid. No.
Right.
But I do remember the actor.
I had to go back and watch the scene between Ben Kingsley and Tony Stark. I didn't remember that.
Right. I remembered because it was Ben Kingsley. I'm like, Ben Kingsley's in Iron Man 3. Wow.
Right.
Yeah. And there was another, obviously Wong was in it.
Yes. From Doctor Strange and Marvel.
From Doctor Strange. And I don't
Benedict
know if you know
Wong.
this.
Yeah.
Right. It's weird because, his name's Wong in the show.
But his actual name is Benedict Wong.
Correct.
Right.
So it's weird that his actual last name is the name. But anyway, there was a fight. This was kind of like a Fight Club thing.
Wait, hold on. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about Benedict Wong.
In this movie?
Yes.
All right, let's not give it away, but.
Well, it's not much. You're trying to reference other things. I didn't pick up really quick on who he was fighting. Do you realize who he was fighting?
Why do you always ask me these questions? Just tell us who the hell he was fighting.
Well, because I wanted to.
No, but you say it, and then if I don't know it, I look like. Just say it. You do it every time, and I'm editing this out. Just say who it is. Do you know who he was fighting? No, I know. You tell me who it was.
Well, because I was curious, because I didn't know at first. So
okay, then just say it.
It was oh man, now you blew it out of my mind. It's in the Hulk. Remember the Hulk fought the Abomination Hulk?
No.
Tim Roth.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember him from the Hulk?
I don't.
You don't remember
Which
him?
Hulk?
He was with, I think the Hulk that they consider, obviously the Hulk they consider part of the MCU. It was, who's the guy?
Are you talking about it when they were in the pit in that stadium
that's Ragnarok.
Was it? I don't remember.
No, I'm talking about he juiced up.
This is so in left field right now.
No, he juiced up with the gamma rays. Okay. Tim Roth was like a soldier, and he's like, hey, if I'm going to fight him, why don't you shoot me with the stuff you shot him with? And then it'll be an even. So he became this, this kind of Abomination Hulk, which is in the comics.
Yeah.
But if you were paying attention, which I was, but I still didn't get it, they used Tim Roth's voice for the moaning of that character, and the CGI was Tim Roth's face.
Say again?
Well, Tim Roth, I'm trying to show you the connections.
I don't know what you're trying to connect. There's nothing connected.
It's Tim Roth, the character from the Hulk, is in this movie.
Maybe the least exciting and interesting point of this whole film that you've just spent 15 minutes on, that I now have to edit down to a 2-minute chunk, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
I mean, I can't believe you did that much analysis on a Tim Roth bit. Who cares? Who cares about Tim Roth? Seriously. Which is probably why we both said, no, I don't remember who it was, because nobody cares.
Well, no, you do. You do, because how does this movie fit into the MCU is my first question.
Well, you're the one that's going to give us I was going to say brief synopsis, but I'm not sure if
I don't think there is a brief synopsis of this.
Just say what the film was about. Forget the connection within the MCU, because quite frankly, the film stands on its own.
Okay. And it's this young guy named Shang-Chi or something like that. And Sean is working. He's like a slacker working. I don't know.
He's not a slacker. He's just a valet.
Yeah, he's a 30-year-old valet, but he's not really doing anything with his life.
I valeted for a short period of time.
And I know. But,
honest work.
But while you were in college, I think. And they're already out of college. Him and his friend, I don't know if they've got benefits or what's going on.
Played by Awkwafina.
By Awkwafina. So they're working at this.
And you're talking about, is it Simu Liu? Is that how you say his name?
Simu Liu.
Okay.
Who's a Canadian. He's Asian, right, but he's Canadian.
Yeah.
And he's a very good martial artist. And
yeah, excellent.
So they're working at this car parking facility. And and then we find out they get on a bus to go to work, and somebody messes with his friend Awkwafina. And all of a sudden he goes, and it's a scene from nobody.
Right. So right. And so members of the 10 Rings organization show up and start causing havoc.
Right.
And in the midst of that, his BFF Katie discovers, okay, this is not the Sean. Like, who is this exactly?
Who are you, man?
Right. Right. So then that leads into the whole, telling of the story. Off the
story of, his background, which he's, the next thing you know, they're on a plane because he tells Awkwafina he got a card from his sister and he's got to go see her.
Wow.
So they're off to China.
Worst synopsis ever, folks.
Well, you're rushing me.
Mike is off his game. It needs to be rushed. It's not like you just and then he took a left, and then he got up and put on his clothes, and then he
didn't say like that.
His father and the whole. Just give us the overview.
That's
the
what
overview.
I was doing.
This used to be your bit.
I know, and you're
Bring in more of that banter that you love here on the Oh Brother podcast.
Why are you talking during my bit? You should have just let me go and I would have been fine.
It's like death sitting here waiting for it to just. Not. Let's just get to the point where we start talking about the film. Go ahead.
We're there. He gets a card from his sister. He's telling Awkwafina about it on the plane, about his background, about his dad, about his mom being dead. And they're off to find his sister. And that's the story.
Wait, did you just give us Wait, did you just give us the plot of Nobody, or was this Shang-Chi?
Well, it's close.
Yeah, at least one scene
They're similar. They're similar.
Yeah. So his dad is
1,000 years old.
Right. And he's played by Tony. I'm not sure how you say his last name. Leung. Leung.
Don't look for me for help with that.
But his character's Wenwu, the Mandarin. He goes by many different names, as you learn through that story. Connects back to the Iron Man reference we were talking about. Mm-hmm. And he comes into possession of these rings, right? Which give you immortality. And
it's bizarre because it goes back to Genghis Khan. They make a reference to Genghis Khan, who's actually in the film. They just call him Khan. And that's where he gets the rings from, and it gives him all his power.
And a thirst for more power.
Yes.
Which is really what he's after. So you're right. Then the crux of it is him on this quest to find his sister. Power. Well, right. Yeah, sorry, going back to his dad. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And you mentioned his mother. I don't know, spoiler alert there. You'd mentioned that, she meets her fate when Shang-Chi was about 7 years old.
Yeah,
he was very young.
But it's referenced very early.
And the father at that period in time had hung up the rings or given up the rings or whatever.
When he met his wife.
That's right. Which is an amazing sequence of how they met.
Maybe one of the best sequences in the film.
Yeah, the martial artistry is just phenomenal.
And I'll tell you, part of it I wanted to call it the 10 Rings, Crouching Hot Dragon, Hidden Tiger.
Well, Michelle Yeoh was in it.
Right. She doesn't have a big part, but
yeah. Well, she does. She has a pretty big. She plays his aunt.
Yeah,
it's a fairly big part.
Definitely towards the end.
Yeah,
and I love that martial arts. It's almost like
it's almost
like a ballet.
Yes,
it's like them dancing, and it was just really that was one of my favorite scenes from the film.
I read something about Simu Liu. His background is in Taekwondo and Wing Chun, which is of course Bruce Lee, Ip Man, and I guess the director Destin Daniel Cretton. Is that right?
Yes. There's also a very big connection to Jackie.
There was some and there was some inspiration from Kung Fu Hustle, which you see a poster in one of the scenes on the wall.
Yes,
from that. Yes. And Ip Man is referenced as an inspiration. That's really no surprise when you see some of.
And if you watch the credits, did you see the one credit how they give a credit, and to the beloved, whatever. So it's somebody who died, unfortunately. That was a guy that worked with the young actor, and also he was Jackie Chan's guy. So there was on the bus that I mentioned, there was a scene on the bus.
Amazing.
He's fighting.
So great.
And he takes his jacket off, typical Jackie Chan move.
Awesome.
And uses his jacket
and
to
then
defend.
Putting it back on as he's in motion was insane. And that a big chunk of that scene is in the trailer. So, I mean, a lot of people would have seen that when he does that jump kick.
Correct.
I mean, it's just that mind-blowing stuff. So, yeah, the martial artistry was fantastic. Of course, producer Kevin Feige's involved with this too. So now we had mentioned in the last episode, I said to you, as we were talking about coming attractions, this was, of course, one of them. And I said, I think it's going to surprise you. I think this is going to be a little bit of a surprise. And you said, I don't know, the Delta variant COVID thing. I wasn't quite sure. Now, first of all, you went. So that says something. The fact that you stepped out, went to see
and I
it.
went for this. I went to do this.
Absolutely. Right.
And I probably, otherwise I probably wouldn't have gone.
So talk money and give us your assessment of that.
Well, for the, through the 3 days, it did 72 million, smashing the Labor Day record. Labor Day has not been a big day for the movies, weekend for the movies. Right. Beat the record of the record holder was Halloween.
Oh, okay.
2007.
Oh, Zombie.
Rob
Zombie. Okay.
So that did 30 million. So
wow.
Huge. That's amazing. Huge. Yeah. And now for the 4 days, 90 million.
Yeah. And it's almost worldwide about 140 almost.
Yeah. And it's on a budget of 150.
Right.
So they made it cheaper than most.
So are you surprised by that? Based on what you said last time? Yeah. That's what
I'm surprised by it. I'm not a big fan of the movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? What's your problem with the film without spoiling anything?
Well,
now this is the first Asian led film from Marvel too, which is, that's obviously a big deal.
Because Mulan's outside of this.
Worth noting. Yeah. Mulan, speaking of which, for those of you that haven't seen our live action Mulan review, make sure you check that out, because over 5,000 other people have viewed that video at this point. So check that one out.
5,000 plus.
Yeah.
First off, you got to dial back the Awkwafina. Way too much comedy.
See, I didn't think so. Where we talk about the Marvel humor, she was a big source of that, of course. And I thought for the most part it worked, and
I thought at times it was right, but they just kept doing it. And at times of action, like during the train sequence, the bus sequence that we were just talking about, which is one of the best martial arts sequences in the film. Mm-hmm. And there's not a lot of them. There's not a lot of them for what's considered a martial arts film. It's the best sequence, and there's joking going on during it. And I was like, no, keep this real. And another connection.
Keep it real. Meanwhile, he's fighting someone with a razor arm, keep it real. I know, grounded in reality, folks.
But his movements and his jumping around, what he was doing was real.
Yeah, but this is what Marvel is known for. This we've talked about how something DC can't do, which is infuse humor.
I know, but I bag on DC for going too far or not doing it right.
Yeah,
I got to hit Marvel the same way.
Yeah, I got to push back on that, because I think it worked for the most part. And
how your theater, how crowded was it? Like, I was full.
Yeah, I honestly don't recall if it was. It was pretty full, the best I can recall, but I wasn't really focused on that.
But for me, the most reaction from the crowd was laughter. There was a lot of laughing,
which is fine.
It's fine if it's, comedy, but
there was a lot of humor in it. There's a lot of humor.
Too much.
Here's the only, and this isn't even an issue. And I got railed on by this because I was just making some commentary about it. I really wasn't being critical per se, which again, doesn't necessarily have to imply, negativity.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a sequence. Let's say there's some dragon references in the film. We'll say that there was a sequence, the latter part of the film, where I just felt it went on and on and on.
It was a mess,
and it was just a little too fantastical. It was fine for what it was, but to your point, trying to I made the joke. I was saying, I like my fantasy grounded in more reality. It got a little bit too much for me. It's about not to the point where I was like, oh, that was a terrible film, but that was the only criticism I had.
The end was a mess, I thought. it was like, who's what? And there was just a lot going on.
There was a lot going on. Yeah,
Mystical.
there was a lot going on. And I think it got away from itself a little bit.
Yeah, and Awkwafina went from the sidekick joke to a warrior.
Yeah, but see, you're just picking on Awkwafina because how many other movies have we seen where that's been a plot
I
point?
like her, and
you've
I think she's
accepted it.
funny.
Yeah,
and I like her, and I like her humor. And there's a couple of movies she's done that are great. She just, and I think she would have fit if they dialed her back. This is like, the movie where they dial it up to 11.
Yeah.
Just dial it
Spinal
back
Tap.
to Spinal Tap. Dial it back to like a 5 or a 6.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit more focus on him.
Right. And there's a key point too, is he got lost behind his mother, who was just so wonderfully,
and his
graceful,
father.
and his father.
His father was amazing.
The sequences between the two of them were some of the best.
Yeah, I think going back to saying the introduction or how the parents met was just really some beautiful filmmaking. The choice of colors, and as you said, that kind of balletic aspect of the martial arts and the sweeping of the foot.
Sweeping of the foot, all of them show that. And I think, we see his talent, on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted more of him. Not, there was another sequence that's kind of outside of a building in Macau. And, that was too much, CGI and,
it was still cool.
Wires and stuff.
It was still cool.
But I wanted to see him because you saw on the bus.
I wanted to see, I would have liked to have seen more of just him against the 10 Rings army.
Yeah.
Those characters with the masks.
Yes.
Those ninja looking, that was pretty sweet. But all in all, I thought it was a really good film. I'm looking forward to seeing the next installment of it, which is clearly going to be coming to us at some point in the future.
Yes.
This will not be the last you see this character in the MCU, but it doesn't sound like you're a real big fan of it.
Well, I thought in the latter part, outside, you mentioned how beautifully the colors and it was lit perfectly.
Yeah.
That was gone throughout the rest. It was not Johnny Durango, our buddy. I'd like to see his comments about the lighting of all the fight scenes at the end, where it really got to be a mess. It was too dark. Things weren't lit well. You couldn't make out a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I had a lot of problems there. Looking at the critics again, forget Rotten Tomatoes because it's up like 90. Go to the database, 70s, low 70s, both.
Yeah, it's early still though.
I think that's about where it should be.
Yeah, I'd say in the 80s, in the high 80s.
But
but you're right.
Brings me. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say you're right. Dude. Like more action, more focus on him.
Yes.
I agree. You could argue that he was somewhat overshadowed by.
I thought so.
His parents and those performances,
and also
his sister was amazing too in it.
His sister is amazing. She's
fantastic.
A better character.
Yeah, so good.
And I think they're going to spin her off, likely to be maybe her own kind of thing.
They easily could. Yeah, they could.
I felt like at the end of this movie, they were trying to replenish the Avengers. And this was a way to replenish one of the Avengers.
Yeah,
didn't really have much to do. That's why I was pointing out the few things that did fit the MCU, how this fit in. And they can fix that in the future. We know there's another one that they're going to do. They've already announced it. If you stay for there's Marvel, there's always a sequence after the credits.
Yeah, don't spoil that.
No, but you have to stay for two of them. There's a mid-credit and then there's an end credit.
That's not unusual.
But in my theater, everyone stayed for the mid credit, and then they left.
Yeah.
And they missed the very ending.
Yeah, big mistake.
So, but for me, it's really marginal. This is on the lower. This is like with Thor: The Dark World for me.
Yeah, I clearly liked it better than you did. But I share some of the same criticisms as far as, lacking in more focus on him, a little bit more of the martial arts, especially. You're right. I think if his dad was such a dominant figure,
yeah,
of course he's the one that had the 10 rings throughout most of the thing, but it took away a little bit from what could have been a more of a spotlight on the main character, or supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, he's in the title.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of flip-flopping with allegiance. Who were you aligned with? Because the 10 rings, and we talked about this before we went, I didn't realize it was an evil organization. Going back to the reference in Iron Man that nobody caught. I had no idea it was evil. And again, you'd have to be a comic person. We've always said we're not comic people. We do movies.
But and I barely again remembered the references from the Iron Man film. So, but I liked how it does get addressed in this film, which I thought was good for those that maybe had no clue at all. So anything else good or bad here on this one to talk about? Latest Marvel installment, Shang-Chi. We were anticipating this for a while.
I was disappointed. I can't hide that. I wouldn't give it a negative, but it's a very weak, if it's a thumbs up, it's like this.
Yeah.
But for people not watching, I was kind of halfway up.
Right.
But I would say I'm looking more forward to the Eternals, which we saw a bigger look.
See, now we did in the trailer. I think that one's gonna suffer from some of the same type of things. Like, I think that story's got a potential for being convoluted. There may be way too many characters they're trying to introduce at one time.
Could be.
I'm a little nervous about that, but Chloe Zhao, we've talked about it. We're fans from Nomadland, so looking forward to seeing what she brings to that film.
Test.
But
this will be a real test.
Yeah,
and I think Spider-Man is going to kill it.
Yeah,
I think that's going to break records. I think that's going to maybe, given the state of the movies and seeing that this got 90 million people or $90 million, made 90 million in the US during a rise in the pandemic where there's big movies like Top Gun just got pulled.
Yeah, because we were talking about some of these in the last episode, and now they got pushed already.
They got pulled. And,
there's another one too. I forget what the other one was.
Well, to both Tom Cruise films, which was Mission Impossible, they both got yanked.
Yeah.
And Bond is like
Bond's
shaky. I think it's going to go.
Coming. Yeah, it's coming.
And especially after the money this one did, I think it's going to influence them to say, they're back, baby.
Forge ahead. That's right.
Let's go. They're back. So, and clearly people were back.
Yeah, it was a good take. It's one that I was glad to see in the theater. So I have no complaints about that. So yeah, it's a thumbs up and thumbs kind of halfway up here from our brother on Shang-Chi or Shang-Chi.
And the Legend of the 10 Rings. I'll say that part.
Right. Well, all right, there you go. We're gonna come at you. I don't know what we got coming up next, to be honest.
Well, I know we're
another theater release.
Yeah, we got Crime Macho. I don't know if
much
that's
coming
next.
I don't know that's. I don't think that's next.
Yeah, it might be something before Crime Macho.
We're gonna have to put the gloves on again too. We have to get back in the ring and do some trivia. That'll be coming up before you know it. We've got to dust that off.
Yeah, part 2 of the second round.
Exactly, yeah. I have yet to win one of those.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for another episode of the Yo Brother Podcast. Been your host, Dan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my brother from the same mother, Mike Smith. and we will see you next time.
Zai Shen, everyone.